Canadan. Here we are in Fiji. How are you feeling?
Beautiful Fiji. It's nice here. I'm feeling really good. I've been here for a little while already, so it's kind of settling in and, you know, ticking a few things off the list in terms of what I need to do on the boat. Nothing major, but just little stuff. I'm feeling good though.
So how'd you feel? Because I've lost track. Only 2 boats arrived in daylight. Everyone else was nighttime.
I was nighttime.
You were nighttime on the mooring or in here? You
came in
here
and on the mooring.
Okay, so you had
overnight.
a sneak peek, but when the sun comes up and you're cruising into the
beautiful.
welcome, how are you feeling?
It's beautiful. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean the grounds here are really nice. And then I got brought around to the customs dock. And I got to the dock, and then the whole group of Vuda Marina employees came in and started singing, and that was just amazing. It just blew me away. I was totally enthralled with that. It was so nice.
We nearly missed it through circumstance, but we got the dancing. You put on a good dance, you know, just like our lead singer in Midnight Oil. You were a dead take.
I couldn't help it. It was all good. It was really, really nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty heartwarming. Never had that before, so it's a nice tradition.
You're a huge way from home, and you sailed all the way, you know, across the Atlantic, which everyone knows. And just to remind everyone, Dan and I had a good chat in Panama, one-on-one. We won't go through that whole background thing again, and you and being a teacher and building the boat, but geez, it must feel kind of interesting to look back. Like, you step out of yourself and look at the boat and think, holy dooly.
Yeah. It's been a couple times, not here, but in Tahiti that happened, and in Tonga it happened, where we were just looking down on the boats, and it was just like, my goodness, this is amazing. Like, here we are, you know, I think there was maybe Dan and Christian with me or something, and it was just like, look at, we built these boats in our garage, in our houses, and got them all the way to Portugal and made it all happen. And here we are coming around again, right? And it's just a crazy feeling. It's pretty surreal. Yeah.
So it's just, you didn't even, we've gone through this too, you weren't even going to do the MGR, you were just building this cool little boat in your backyard, good project, you know, handyman, all that sort of stuff. But at some point you twigged to do it, and I don't know when that was, but it was before you left on the start of the MGR rather. Is it delivering what you expected? You know, is it giving results for your decision? Try and quantify the decision to do it, and then compare it to the reality.
Yeah, it's probably more than what I expected it to be. Especially, like, my biggest thing was the South Pacific and being able to stop at all these places and experience the people and the food and all that kind of stuff and the culture. And it seems like it's actually more, I never had an experience like this otherwise, other than the Caribbean. So I knew what the Caribbean was going to be like. It was just arriving in Antigua, okay, I know what this is all about. But this has been more than what I expected in terms of the islands and the people and all that kind of stuff. And the sailing's been different too. Every body of water has been a different experience, right? It just seems like it has a different feel to it, and the winds are different, and the waves and the swell and whatnot. So it's been more than what I expected it to be. So it's been great.
Yeah,
it's been really great.
So and what do you perceive through the whole picture from buying the plans to now as personally your biggest challenge? Not about the boat being too small or too expensive or things like that, but what's been the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge, and maybe you asked this question in Panama, I'm not sure, or something of the sort.
I hope it's the
same. Is being away from family, being away from friends, and my regular environment, right? Never have done this before, never been away from home this long, and been away from my girls and stuff like that. So it's been that's been the toughest part.
So Starlink wasn't on the agenda in the good old days. It pops up, and now everyone's virtually got one. What's your take on that? You know, how do you, because it's killed the solitude and the solo thing, or the isolation of it. But you know, describe it.
It's a good thing. Well, I started out with the Iridium Go Exec, so I had 2 sponsors that sponsored me. One for the data, one for the unit itself. And then shortly after Panama, it failed. The batteries died in it. So then I ended up, not until Tahiti, I had the Starlink. So I just had the Starlink just recently. And it is a game changer, it really is, because you can video call, you can do anything. It's probably faster internet than I have at home. You know, and I mean, sometimes it's a bit spotty because our boat's moving a little bit and it has a little bit of trouble connecting. But it's a real game changer, and you know, I use it every day, obviously. Seems like every 4 hours, I click it on and check out the tracker and check out the weather, get some updates on messages and family, friends, all that kind of stuff. And with the manager, with Captain Morgan and stuff like that, he's giving me updates and different news bits and whatever else. So keep me up on the goings on at home as well. So it's nice to be connected that way. So it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, you're a teacher and all the things that go with that, but you're really trying to share the experience. How is that? I mean, obviously it's satisfying, but just give us a bit on that. You know, you must be, like, I won't say you're a role model, but you're inspiring people for sure. You know?
Yeah. I mean, some of my students are following my pages and stuff like that, Instagram, Facebook, and that sort of thing, as well as family and friends, mainly on Facebook for that, but Instagram as well. But yeah, it keeps things rolling in terms of timely updates, right?
Yeah.
As things are happening, and yeah, it's for whatever algorithms and stuff like that. Certain posts end up just going crazy, and some I barely get any hits on, so it's kind of weird. Yeah, I got one video that's gone bonkers. It's just ridiculous.
So you probably missed out on a very unique experience to a degree, because you started building your boat and people would have been saying, oh, you know, that's a great little boat, nice home build project, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you took off across the Atlantic, and I don't know, from the North Atlantic, I don't know how many people you're told, but now you're doing the race. Did many people think you were crazy in the beginning and tell you so? And what do they think now?
Well, you still hear that, even just yesterday.
Even today.
Yesterday we were walking around talking to some people, and a few of us, and they said, "Oh, you guys are the insane ones."
Oh, we should do a T-shirt.
And even a couple of people over on the dock. Oh, you guys are crazy. And I think it's just a response.
Yeah.
It's just something that people blurt out, because me and Skooks, we were like, "What do you mean? Why is that so crazy? Tell us about the craziness." And they don't really have an answer.
Yeah.
So they don't even know why they're asking the question, you know, or making the statements. So,
yeah.
But yeah, you get that all the time, because a lot of people just don't understand the sailing.
Yeah.
And then also people in the sailing community say, like, you guys have a lot of, you know, bravery, courage, all that kind of stuff.
We call it gonads.
Yeah. Because they're usually sailing 40 to 60, 70 foot boats.
Yeah.
Right. And here we are in our 19-foot boats, and they're like, "You guys are crazy to do this." Right. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all perception, and it's all relative, I think. So
I know for a
have
fact
the same equipment that they have on their boats. So we start going through the safety stuff, and they couldn't believe all the safety equipment we have on board.
Yeah.
So it's better than some of these boats.
Yeah, we're a serious amount of risk mitigation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. I know you will have been scared at some point along the way, you know, face fear and so on, because it's been scary. But have you ever thought it was dangerous, you were in the wrong sort of boat, you know?
No, I can say that without a doubt. Yeah, I've sailed the boat so much, even before I started, even the pre-qualifier, that I felt good with the boat already. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the only issue is, probably the scariest part was one time on the Transat, I think. We had closer to 60 knot winds, and the issue was that I was hurt. I had that sciatica injury, and I couldn't get the jib down. Well, I got the A7 furled, but I just stayed off the deck because I just couldn't do it, right? So I ended up running through 60 knots of wind with my full jib up, and which is worse than the knockdown I had after Tahiti or whatever it was a while back. So yeah, so that was a little sketchy, just in the fact that I was limited in my mobility. That was the issue, and I couldn't do what I needed to do. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I only on one occasion I was in a situation where it gave you a hint of something could be bad. It wasn't bad, but I looked at the boat with everything shut up, and I thought, this is the ultimate lifeboat. You know. Oh yeah. So you can't go any lower denominator than that. It's an interesting scenario, and you understand how strong the boat is and the hatches. And so at the end of the day, you button it up. Is better than any life raft, so you want to throw the life raft away. Right. Yeah. It's the ultimate lifeboat. So
the initial conversations I had even before I started building was with you, and I wanted to talk to Jean-Luc Vanahid, and so I rang him up during COVID. He was at home, everybody's locked up. He wanted, so we had a nice conversation for about 45 minutes during COVID, and he alluded to, He says the 580. He says I don't know. He says he doesn't know the design and all that kind of stuff. But he called it a wine bottle in the water.
Yeah.
Once you close that thing up,
absolutely,
there's no issues.
Yeah.
So
I
really respect him and respect his.
He's the godfather of Trekker. He launched Trekker for me, you know.
Yeah.
And he's a mini man, you know. He went across in.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk to him.
Yeah.
He did the 650s.
His whole career started in a similar boat, you know, in the early mini transats. So,
and then I ran into him in Le Sable.
Yep.
So yeah, it was fun.
He's watching. He's pretty cool. He's right into the 580. You know, if he was younger, you know.
Maybe you should drag him to Antigua.
Oh well,
the finish line.
We'll see. He's yeah.
So
okay, now you know, looking back, which would you say was the most demanding section from Panama to here, and you know, how would you describe it? You know, which, because they all had their weather, but
yeah, they all had different weather, different levels of toughness. I mean, the Transat was challenging because there's lots of big swell and lots of wind, 25 knots on average the whole time. But then you get kind of in a groove, so it kind of becomes this norm.
Yeah.
I think probably the biggest challenge for me was Panama to Marquesas. And it wasn't, I mean, there's some rain, which is challenging because everything is wet down below, and then, you know, things go moldy, and there's that uncomfort level. But probably the biggest thing was that leg in terms of the distance. And I found that really challenging mentally. It just was a long time. It was a long time. I did it in, I think it was 35 days and whatever hours, I forget. But it was around 35 days, and it was just a long time.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it just kind of went on, maybe because there was lighter winds during the Galapagos, and it just seemed to drag on there for a week or so.
Yeah.
By the time we actually got out of there.
Yeah.
And got south enough to get the trades, and then we got moving, and that felt better.
Yeah.
But to get to that point, probably the psychological piece of that passage was the toughest for me.
Yeah.
And then again, I arrived in Marquesas, and guess when? In the dark. And trying to get in there's a minefield of boats, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, look, I remember your track. It was right over the place. Yeah.
Oh, it was like so many boats in there, outside the gap and inside the gap. It was just crazy. Yeah. So after all that, then it was quite a challenge to get in there. So
yeah.
But that was probably the most challenging. Yeah, just because of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so your day to day, and I mean, you're absolutely racing. In fact, you surprised me in the very beginning in the Transat. Even, you know, you took off like a, you just took off. You know, I had no idea. So you can perform. You can get there. You're happy with your performance so far?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sort of in the middle in terms of I'm not full on race mode, but I'm not full on cruise mode. There's times where I want to push hard, and there's times where I want to just enjoy it as well, right, and take it all in and absorb all of what's going on. Yeah. Especially when we're in around islands and there's things to see and things to experience. So, but I think the boat is fairly fast. I try and spend a fair bit of time trimming sails, and I think I'm fairly good at that. So I think that's what helps a lot, is being attentive to the sails and not just throw it up and hope for the best, you know, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I guess my performance is pretty good. Leg 1, I was 3rd.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
Leg 2, I guess, I don't know. I don't even remember now. How am I doing, Don?
You're doing well. I should have brought it up. I just worked. I finally getting this press release done. I finally did the results.
Oh, did you? Okay, but anyway, so
you're doing okay.
You know, personally, if I'm
you're within touch, so there's a long way to go.
Oh, there's still a long way to go.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'm in the upper part, so that's fun, and so it's good to see. I mean,
okay, describe sunrise to sunrise. Your typical day, sunrise to sunrise. You know. What you go through.
They're not all the same, that's for sure, because different days are different and your sleep patterns are different during different times. But I find, like, when I'm out in the middle of the ocean and things are kind of rolling on a regular basis, then I end up sleeping a lot more. Like sometimes I sleep in past my alarms and stuff like that, and I'll end up sleeping for 4 or 5 hours at a time, which is fine. There's nothing around, and
absolutely,
you know, AIS is on. I got
put
alarms
in the bank, you know.
Yeah, for the times where you need it and something's going on, right? So, but I mean, I'm got a bit of a routine in terms of my meal in the morning, and you know, once the sun comes up and that sort of thing. I'm really happy about the difference in temperatures now that we're a little bit further south. Panama was really, really hot. That's maybe another thing that kind of killed me.
It's a politically correct way of saying, geez, it was hot.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, much warmer. So the daily routine kind of changes, but I mean, I tend to have the same sort of meals every day and the same breakfasts and have a snack at around lunchtime and stuff like that. But mainly, every 4 hours I'm checking the trackers, not so much worrying about what place I'm in, but just to see how relative performance compared to some others.
Yeah.
Pilar and I have a little rivalry from the get-go, and it's just fun to her and I chat back and forth during the race and whatnot.
I got to give you the results because I think you're. Jane, can you pass up my workbook, please?
So we
that one, yeah, that's got the results. Okay, Dan. Here we go. 4 and 5. Peeler and Dan. You're running 4th at the moment.
4th, huh?
Yes, and Peeler is running 5th.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Yeah. So her and I have a little rivalry right from the beginning. It was so much fun on the pre-qualifier. She went down the west side of the island. I went down the east side of the island.
Yeah.
And it was so close. She beat me by an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
She's paying the piper for the first leg. She did very bad in the first leg. But she's flying now, so you're going to have
Oh, she's doing well. She's doing well. So yeah, relative performance, I'm checking every 4 hours just to see how I am doing on the rest of the fleet and stuff like that, and not stressing about it too much.
Yep.
I mean, my biggest thing is I want to preserve my rig and preserve the boat and make sure the boat is staying together. So I'm fixing things along the way and whatnot too. So because it's a long race, we're not quite halfway through yet.
Yeah. What are you doing? What work are you doing on the rig here?
On the rig, the only thing I need to do is just a couple of tensions. I'm not replacing any rigging, standing rigging or anything.
Yeah.
I did a really good inspection on it, and short of just replacing it because a lot of others are.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's even a good reason, because I may not end up with what I have on the boat right now.
Yeah, that's.
I have a Selden rig that's.
Yeah. That's cool.
So,
what about food? Like I should put it the other way. We're getting some of the photos back on this trip from Panama, and I'm thinking, geez, check out Dan's muscles back here. Like you seem to be looking fit and healthy.
Well, yeah, I've lost.
How do you feel?
I've lost a lot of weight. I think a fair bit of weight. I feel good though. Yeah, I feel good. I don't feel fatigued, or I still can. I was doing yoga with Pilar, and I still physically feel good because I do exercises on the boat, and that I think has made a big difference for me.
Yeah.
When I come to a port, even after Marquesas, so 35 days on the water, I step off the boat. Maybe for an hour I have kind of wobbly legs, and after that, that's it. I'm just as if I was on land for forever. So I think that makes a big difference. So staying physically active with the legs, do some squats and do some exercises, and big time stretches. So that's been helpful. So I feel good. I don't think I'm eating like I normally do, obviously, because we're eating freeze-dried food and good stuff for about a week and a half after we leave a port, and then after that it's all the same, right? It's all the same stuff. So but I feel good. I feel I drink lots of water as well, so I think that helps. It makes a big difference.
So for you personally, forget about the boat and building the boat and sailing the boat, but for you personally, what do you think has been the biggest challenge? Not the negative side, but just the biggest challenge to actually get here that you've gone through, the emotional, call it what you like, something you missed, whatever. What's the big negative about getting this far?
It is. That's a good question. I don't know about a negative. Like I mentioned about, being away from family that's the tough part. But the biggest challenge, I think it's probably within myself, I think maybe is the challenge is maybe I have higher expectations for myself at certain times, and maybe I should be, going faster, or I should have made some tactical decisions, a little bit better decisions or something like that. So I kind of maybe beat myself up about that a little bit, and then maybe I push myself a little bit too hard to make up for those decisions, maybe. So I just think of when we left Panama, for example. There's some decisions that I made But I mean, it could have worked out for the best too. Like even some others made some decisions, go on a winger, and it could have really worked out well, but sometimes it doesn't. So I think within myself, and just probably that's the biggest, toughest challenges that I face.
You know, for me looking into your comment then, that means you're doing it perfectly, because if you weren't doing that, it means you are possibly being lazy and you might not achieve what you want to achieve. You're never going to get to the real world perfect scenario, but you're always questioning. So it's a very interesting way to explain it.
You know, always
you're keeping an eye on it. You know, make sure you're doing the right thing.
And that's part of what I was saying earlier, was I'm not uber competitive.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be a slouch either. So,
yeah. So therefore, you should have no regrets and feel quite proud within yourself.
Yeah. No, I feel good about what I'm doing and how I'm moving along, and the boat's in good shape. I show up to a port and I'm not the one running to a sailmaker or a rigger.
That's a good way of putting it.
To be honest with you, I'm not gonna, and that's just, I'm just trying to take care of the rig. And, because we have some tough stuff coming up. So
too true.
I don't want to test the limits just yet.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So you're a relatively young man. You're like me, 30 odd.
Absolutely.
What's next after the MGR?
That's a horrible question, Don. It's a horrible question.
Well, now's time to start
question.
thinking.
Well, I have to go back to work. My leave of absence ends in like April of next year.
You got leave of absence.
Yeah.
Geez, you did well to wing that.
Yeah. They were very good with me. So. So I have a job to go back to. So I'm going back to teaching in mid-April, I guess. Yeah. And for a couple, 2.5 months, and then we'll see what happens after that. I don't know. So I'm employed. I'm still employed. So
And how's the family and all that sort of thing? Because you can't do it without the family.
Yeah. They're doing well. I mean, they miss me being at home, obviously, but and I miss them. I miss being at home too. It's a really tough thing. Especially now we're like a half a world away, more or less, right?
Yeah.
So
they're coming out.
Yeah, on the 16th.
Yep, cool.
The girls are flying in, so they'll be here till the start of Leg 3. Yeah, so that'll be good.
Yeah,
they'll be on the dock here somewhere, or out on a rib or something. Who knows? But we'll figure that all out.
Yeah.
So it's it's pretty challenging that way for sure. But it'll be good to have them here for sure.
So have you had time to even think about the next leg? It's a long way, 9,700 to Cape Town, and the world changes. Once you start to go through the reef, the world changes.
So many changes. Yeah, there's so many changes. I mean, probably the biggest conversation that I'm having with a group of friends, competitors, is just that first bit, getting through the reef. What route, positioning and timing and all that kind of stuff. And the biggest thing for me and most everybody is that we've never been through these waters before, and we're trying to I'm trying to do it anyway, soak up as much knowledge as I can to have a good understanding of what I need to do, or what I could encounter, right? So actually this young lady that we met last night, she suggested a book from this guy.
Which one?
It's a Torres Strait Passage planning book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only like $10 on Kindle, so I'm going to buy it and read it. I forget the guy's Helleman or Hell somewhere. So it's good. It gives you waypoints and everything else through the two options.
That's cool. I'm just going to tip this up a bit. It's going a bit quiet. That's right.
It's a long. So short answer is, have I thought about it? Absolutely. Yeah. I've been thinking about it for a long time.
I know the reef is a really challenging subject for people that have never been there, but I've spent years up there to a degree in seasons and stuff. But it's a different world. We'll all talk about it a lot before we get there. Nothing to be scared of. In fact, it's easier than you think. Because they're all islands. You can always anchor behind them if you've got a problem. The reefs are all islands.
Captain Coconut gave us some good insight there when we were in Tahiti. The one day we had a little conversation with him. So I'd like to chat with him more. And and then I think once we get through there, overall the Indian Ocean, I think there's challenges there, but I don't know if it's going to be as volatile as what it could be. So I'm hoping it's just another passage and get to Mauritius, and there's a couple stops maybe just before Mauritius, I guess. Reunion and some other island I heard.
Okay, so what's the big scream moment for you? The peak of the whole thing, the most fun thing, something that's gone, whoa, is this cool or what? Like where is it? Somewhere between Antigua and here. What was the biggest high? The payback.
Well, probably I'll give you two because I can't really narrow it down to one. The first one would have been after we left Antigua, was coming into the Panama Canal. Like, who sails a 19-foot home-built boat through the opening of the Panama Canal? Like, yeah, so that was just like a moment, right? I took a few pictures of some ships that I was sort of jostling with and trying to make sure I was not in their way.
Yep.
Stuff like that, but that was a cool moment. I was like pretty pumped about that. I got a pretty good video on
it's
that
like
one.
it's all about to begin. Here comes the world, you know.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat. Arriving, going through that gap, and then probably after we left Panama as well, getting to the Marquesas, because it was a long passage for me, and also just arriving and seeing those volcanic islands, and it was just like, here we go. Well, as I mentioned, I'm super keen about the South Pacific, so that was the first set of islands that I was able to see.
About something about that name, Marquesas.
Absolutely. And it was just neat to see the peaks, and it's just the landscape was just ridiculous. Yeah. And then the next morning when the sun came up after I was anchored, it was just like looking at the volcano. I was just like, we're in the crater basically of this in Hivo. I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. So those two moments was probably the biggest thing, and it's about the experience. So it's the experiences that I'm in awe about.
Yeah.
And just the fact that we're transiting our little boats through these areas is so cool.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of the first sailing trip I did to Antarctica. I was in my BOC boat, 50-footer, with 3 other guys, but you're really like on the edge of the world when you go down there. There's no one, and it was like, what it was like pouring fire onto the experience, because you're in this little boat, 50 foot,
right.
but little boat in the middle of, and you're probably going through the same, because the fire's coming from the fact that it's your little boat, that you sailed all the way there, you're doing the dream, and there's the Marquesas. It's like, holy dooly. So I can,
it was just crazy.
Goosebump material. I'm getting goosebumps.
I would have liked to go into the Galapagos if that was a random option, but it just obviously wasn't in the cards. But just the fact of going there, that's pretty exotic as well.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, all these other stops have been super great too. Like, I had very low expectations for Tonga, and once I was there, it was amazing. It's been one of the best places that we've stopped.
The people
so
are
far.
cool.
Super nice.
Yeah, I must
so many
admit.
great experiences, and the prices were good, and people were awesome, and so
you'll have to come back one day.
I will. I think I'm going to do the same route again, maybe by air, or maybe a boat, but not a 19-foot boat.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you must have faced fear and been scared at times. Did I ask you this one to try and quantify that emotion?
Yeah, you kind of asked that.
I did. Okay,
so
I'm asking too many questions.
No, it's all good.
Oh, we're going through all these. And I
don't know.
Yep. Okay, so what's the next thing that you're looking forward to? Here to there. We're still, even after Cape Town, that's a big one. But then it's Cape Town to Antigua, so it's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to next?
Well, even like, basically all the highlights coming up even to this next leg is like transiting through the Great Barrier Reef. Like, for me and my people in North America and my circle of friends, like, that is crazy, right? All this South Pacific stuff, this is the exotic stuff for us. Yeah. And I know, a couple dozen people that have traveled to Australia. That's about it. Never mind doing what I'm doing. So that's a big piece. Coco Keeling Islands is a big piece.
Oh yeah, and the race director just gave you 10 days there, maybe.
I know.
I'm very envious and jealous.
So Coco Keeling Islands, believe it or not, is basically within a couple of degrees, 180 degrees from my hometown.
Ah, okay.
So that's kind of significant too.
That's cool.
Because I had time to figure that out.
Yeah.
So that's a neat one, because I mean the history there is crazy, and just rolling into Mauritius and South Africa, and it's just so that's all big. If I can if I can stop at St. Helena, Brazil, like it's all super exciting.
So how are you feeling about the Cape Town leg? Like from Mauritius to Cape Town, how are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling okay. I'm definitely cautious about it. I feel we'll do good. Yeah, I don't feel like we're running ourselves into a brick wall here or anything. But I think we have to be savvy in terms of back to that local knowledge piece and soaking up whatever we can, you know. And depending on the weather window, like I feel maybe we leave Mauritius and get south of Madagascar, and there might be a window, and maybe we keep moving along. You know, it depends on what the weather's like, right? And I think we have to take advantage of whatever good pieces we have and get ducked into some of those spots.
Yeah, I look at it as it is the most serious challenge, and even leaving Cape Town, you know, when you leave Cape Town those first few weeks until you get up, that can be challenging.
Right.
But everyone's really up to it. You know, by the time you get there, you know, you're still sort of Pacific, and then you know, easy part across reasonable weather sort of thing across the Cocos, and then it starts to build. But you will have all been there, done the apprenticeship, and you're ready to progress. And I think it'll add another interesting dimension that'll be needed by the time you get there. By the time you leave Cocos, you'll probably be thinking, oh, okay, we've had enough of coconut trees, you know.
But I think, that's true. But I think, you know, having the options like you have set out in a notice of race to be able to use these block of days for weather window days, and be able to sit and wait for the weather. Yeah, we need that. I don't think there's any other options.
You're going to have some good people watching your back, because Durban, you know, the Ocean Cruising Club people are there, and they're right behind it. That's their backyard. They know that whole area, and they're going to be giving you advice, giving you all advice on weather and you know, no-go situations and where to be. So that's as good as it gets. So you know, we'll see what happens.
So I'm a recent Ocean Cruising Club member too. So
there you go.
Yeah, so I'm one of the newbies. So I've been reaching out. They helped me lots here as well. And getting me fitted out and
it's all. I'm very happy about Durban at the moment. It's looking good.
Yeah. So
okay. So anything else you'd like to get across? You know, like to your followers or anything like that before we wrap it up?
I just appreciate everybody that's following and all the new followers, because there's been lots in the past couple of weeks, which has been amazing. But yeah, thanks for the shout outs and encouragement. That's really, really cool. It really helps when I'm on the water. Now that I have the Starlink, I can read and respond to the comments and stuff like that. So it really keeps me going mentally and keeps me motivated. So it's really cool. So thank you for all the followers. It's really cool.
Yeah, way to go, Dan. Everyone's different. Everyone's sort of in it for similar but different reasons, and a bunch of characters, and you're one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. See ya.